Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, March the 11th, 2024. This is a relatively quiet week. There aren't any significant, powerful transits happening. And on Sunday, on the 10th of March, was the new moon. And so this first week of the new moon is when everything is starting to awaken, move into new directions. And as I said, there aren't any harsh, challenging aspects to deal with. So let's just start with Monday, March the 11th. The moon that sets the public tone, the public reaction, is in fiery Aries. Aries wants to initiate new projects, take risks, go for it, take the lead. So there's a kind of inspiring, fiery energy to start the work week. And Venus, pleasure-seeking, creative, and romantic Venus moves into Pisces on the 11th, on Monday, and will be there for almost a month, till April the 4th, 2024. Venus goes through all the 12 signs once a year. And when Venus is in Pisces, it's the best sign. So it wants to give its best results. What we call it in astrology is Pisces is the exalted sign for Venus to transit. So the best of Venus, however it plays out in your horoscope. But it's really inspiring romantically, creatively. On Tuesday, the moon continues in fiery Aries, but it's going to go void of course from 4:09 a.m. to 5:29 p.m., so like most of the whole day in Pacific Daylight Time. Again, the void, of course, is when the moon is changing signs, but it's no longer making aspects to any planet. So there's no planetary activity. The energy is flat. It is okay to continue with the routine, continue what you've been doing, but it's not advised to introduce anything important new, a new job, a new project, because the energy is unproductive. And that's from, as I said, 4:09 a.m. Pacific time until 5:29 p.m., at which point the moon goes to 0 degrees of Taurus and starts the whole cycle again. And the moon goes from sign to sign every 2.5 days. Aries is very combustible, ambitious, restless, courageous. When it goes into Taurus, Taurus is very grounding, very steady, very calming. And right after the moon goes into Taurus, it's going to be in harmony with that Venus in the beginning of Pisces. So that's early evening Pacific time. This is very harmonious energies for companionship. Or if you're alone and you're an artist, you might be inspired creatively. Or you could be appreciating the arts and music and entertainment on a Tuesday evening. On Wednesday, as the moon continues in steady Taurus, it's going to be in harmony with business pragmatic Saturn around noon to about 1 p.m. Pacific time. That is good for business. It's good for feeling more practical, secure. And by mid-afternoon, as the moon moves past that positive alignment with business Saturn, now the moon's going to cross over Jupiter. Jupiter, for the past year, has been transiting in the sign of Taurus once a year. And now the moon in Taurus, once a month, is crossing over that Jupiter. That brings a lot of optimism, abundance, good for all things Jupiter, traveling, teaching, publishing. It's a good day for business. Thursday, the moon continues in steady Taurus, but around 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, the moon will be in a hard angle to impatient, fiery Mars. Now, you might be feeling really anxious and restless to get on with it, with any project, or you might just be feeling stressed and irritable and anxious. Remember, this too shall pass, and as you get by the late morning, more like 11 a.m. to 12 noon, that Moon-Mars energy has moved on, because now the moon's in harmony with the sun. So whatever was making you anxious or restless or irritable around 9, 10 a.m. Pacific time, now it's all falling into place. It's all going to be more comfortable. And the moon goes void, of course, again at 3:29 p.m. to 8:16 p.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon goes to Gemini, 0 degrees of Gemini. Taurus, when the moon's in Taurus, the public tone, Taurus is steady, it's calming. But when the moon goes into Gemini, you're running errands, you're walking and talking and chewing gum at the same time. You want to reach out, and with emails and texting, there's just a lot of stimulating mental busyness, lots of lively conversations. On Friday, as the moon continues in adaptable, flexible, stimulating Gemini, by mid-afternoon Pacific time, it's going to be in harmony with Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communications. Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini. So have the moon in Gemini in harmony with Mercury. It's really good for writing, for speaking, for studying, brainstorming, really expressing your ideas. But when that starts to calm down and we're getting closer to 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, now the moon is in a stressful angle to Saturn. So maybe in the afternoon on Friday, you were brainstorming all these ideas and getting really excited, and then a couple of hours later, you're realizing you've taken on too much, you're expecting too much, and you're pulling back, or you're just worried how you're going to accomplish all these ideas that seem so great at the same time. On Saturday, the moon continues in conversational, witty Gemini. It's going to be very favorable to Mars, restless, assertive Mars, from about 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. That Moon-Mars can certainly be very enthusiastic, passionate, excitable, great for a Saturday evening, especially if you're going out dancing, because that's physical, if you're exercising, but if you're really wanting to assert yourself and be really busy. The moon will then be in a challenging aspect to the sun and Neptune around 9 p.m. Pacific time. This is when you start getting distracted, confused, probably since it's a late Saturday evening. What this might mean for a lot of people, in the best case scenario, is all of a sudden you're really tired, and you burned yourself out with that Moon-Mars. On the other end of the spectrum is that you're getting really confused, there's misinformation, you're out of focus. Now, then the moon goes void, of course, again, 9:43 p.m. into Sunday at 2:40 a.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon goes into emotional Cancer. When the moon's in Gemini, we're all in our head, we're brainstorming, we're analyzing and thinking about our feelings. But when the moon goes into Cancer once a month, we're in our feelings. With the moon in Cancer, we're more wanting to stay close to home, be with family, it's more of this wanting to, have this private sanctuary at your home. It's all this nurturing, sensitive, domestic energy. It's very different when the moon was in Gemini and you're running all over the place and calling and contacting everybody. On Sunday, as the moon continues in nurturing emotional Cancer, it's going to be in the best flow of energy to loving Venus by late afternoon, early evening Pacific time. Very good for getting together with family, with loved ones, maybe for dinner, a little romance. Also, Venus is creative. Saturday evening, going to the movies, going to the theater, a concert, and you're just feeling really good about it, especially as throughout the day, the sun in Pisces will align with Neptune, which has been transiting Pisces for a number of years. So once a month, the sun will shine on Neptune. So it's putting a spotlight on Neptune. That can be a very altruistic time, a very compassionate time, stimulating a lot of imagination. It's very empathetic. It's very sensitive. That's all on the positive. And I think it's mostly going to be positive for most of you because that emotional moon is in harmony with loving Venus. The only thing you have to be careful about when the sun is putting a spotlight on Neptune is you're living in fantasy land. So it's great for the imagination, but you might not be dealing realistically. But again, that could be great for the imagination, creativity, or losing yourself in a good book, TV show, or a movie, and just kind of escaping the harsh realities. But you don't want to be living in La La Land. Got to be careful of all of that. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.